All right, assalamu alaikum, brothers. This is Coach Munir, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about how the disciplines that seem inconvenient inside of Islam are actually the things that build character and not only enrich your life in the hereafter, which is obvious, but actually enrich your life inside of this life, the dunya, as well. So let's talk about a couple things that we as Muslims are supposed to do every single day. There's 5 daily prayers, and obviously we need to make wudu before those prayers. Now, if you're anything like me, there have been times of your life where it felt like a pain and an inconvenience to have to drop what you were doing or wake up early for Fajr or stay up late for Ishaa or, whatever it may be, and go and make wudu if it's cold and your feet feel cold when you put them in the water and you just don't necessarily feel like doing it, but you do it anyways. And then afterwards, you feel so much better. You feel fulfilled. You feel calm. You feel at peace within yourself after you pray, after you've made wudu. And you wonder why you procrastinated in the first place, but then you end up procrastinating on the next prayer. This is a cycle that a lot of us end up in, and I'm going to be the first to admit that I've experienced this cycle before, where I've seen having to pray and having to make wudu as an inconvenience. And that's something that I felt my whole life growing up, until only recently, where I finally realized that it actually is one of the most important parts of our lives, not just for the akhirah, because that's obvious and we all know that, but actually to make ourselves more fit, more successful, make money, more proactive, treat people better, have better relations with people, everything else. So let's talk about the character that you build from prayer, because we all know that prayer is good for our akhirah, and let's talk about how prayer serves you in the dunya to obviously make more money, have better relationships, and be in better shape. So, when you wake up for Fajr every single day, before the sunrise, you're making your first decision of the day from a place of discipline and being proactive and being committed to your higher beliefs. That's a powerful paradigm when it comes to character, because the same character and discipline and commitment that you're building when you wake up for Fajr, make wudu in the cold, pray even though you're tired and you'd rather be laying in bed, and then either go about your day or go back to bed and get that really nice after Fajr sleep. Well, guess what? By making that decision first thing in the day, you're programming your brain to have the same discipline to eat healthy and avoid the temptation of eating unhealthy food, just like how you're avoiding the temptation of your bed. To not procrastinate and go take action on whatever else you're afraid of doing in your business, or going to the gym, or having a crucial conversation with your wife or one of your kids, or a family member or somebody, or a team member inside of your business, or whatever else, somebody else you need to have a crucial and vulnerable communication and conversation with, right? So you're building yourself to be proactive and to be disciplined with your nutrition, with your workouts, with the conversations you have in your business, with clients, with staff, and the conversations you have in your personal life, and the action items you're completing inside of your business that you would otherwise procrastinate on. And the crazy thing is, ever since I started The Modern Muslim Man, I've really taken a hard look at myself, because I'm telling you to be in integrity with your fitness and your body and the body Allah's given you. Yet if I'm out of integrity with my own Islam, then obviously I can't lead this movement. I can't speak to you with certainty, conviction, and congruence and integrity, right? And so it's been interesting, because the last few weeks, integrity has become a central theme for me, getting back in integrity with my body, getting back in integrity with my Islam, and actually praying all 5 prayers a day and praying them on time and being present in my prayers instead of zoning out thinking about other things, but actually focusing on the prayer. And the amazing thing is, since I took on the discipline to push through that initial resistance and procrastination that many of us feel, including myself, when it comes time to pray, and actually just doing it, being present, not being distracted, being focused, doing it on time in the first third of the prayer window instead of waiting till the very last minute. And sometimes I still will wait till the last minute, but surprisingly enough, and I've been impressing myself, and I feel very proud of myself, alhamdulillah, and by the grace of God, of course, by the grace of Allah, I've been able to pray in usually the first third of the prayer window, and usually pretty much right as soon as the prayer window starts, which has been absolutely amazing. Yesterday when I used to pray in public, I used to kind of just like silently do it, and I just kind of sit in my car or whatever. But yesterday I took a towel from my trunk, and I laid it out and I actually prayed, and I felt proud to pray. And obviously I'm out in LA, who knows what somebody's gonna do or say or come distract me or try to mess with me, but because my commitment and my integrity is with Allah, I know that Allah is going to protect me, and I know that I'm doing the right thing. And even if somebody were to like shoot me in the ghetto in LA while I'm praying, not that I was in the ghetto, but I was, anything can happen in LA, especially these days. I just knew that if I died in prayer, I'd die, a Muslim doing the highest virtue, and so I have no fear of death, alhamdulillah. Obviously, I don't want to die because I want to be able to lead this movement and serve you, but it just gives you this powerful sense of just everything inside of the dunya and obviously in the akhirah. So it's powerful. And so that's, what making that first decision of praying Fajr makes for you. Now, the funny thing is, we can start off our day proactively. We can have a good morning routine with prayer. We can go for a walk. We can journal. These are some of the things I do every single day. We can work out. We can eat healthy. We can prep our food for the day. We can treat our families and friends and other people we interact with and coworkers and employees or bosses, depending on where you find yourself in the business or career world, with respect and proactivity and be positive to these people and show a great example of what a peaceful, high integrity Muslim man is. But later in the day, sometimes our discipline can falter and we can start to feel tired, especially if we're still in the early stages of our health journey and we're still just getting into healthy eating. Our metabolism energy may not be optimized yet. And even when it is optimized, you're not going to be perfect. You're still going to have days where you feel tired. Maybe you got to bed late and then you woke up early for Fajr and you didn't get enough sleep and you didn't have the ability to go back to bed afterwards because you had a meeting or something, like me today. But guess what? You then have Dhuhr, and when you're proactive to set your alarm or your Muslim app or whatever it takes to remind yourself to pray Dhuhr, and then you go make wudu even if you don't feel like it, you drop what you're doing and you go pray, well, guess what? That builds proactivity and realigns you with your goals and your calmness and your positive mental state to go back into your next action item of the day with power and purpose and presence and just, prayer and the blessing of God. And the beautiful thing is, what I've started doing is after I pray, I say dua, because one of the most powerful times to make dua is right after you pray. And just making dua to Allah that I have my next block of work is productive, right? Or my next action item that I'm doing in any area of my life. And so then you have the blessing of God and the focus within yourself instead of the next thing that you're doing. So it's really powerful, and it's crazy because I'm only just realizing this now and then experiencing this, and it makes me want to share it with you because you might already know this, you might already be living this, but many of us are not. Many of us either don't know this or we may know it, but we're not living by it. And so part of what the modern Muslim man movement is not just about being in integrity with your body. That's obviously like the physical, tangible result that we see is the fat loss, the muscle growth, that improved health and energy. But more so than that, it's being in integrity with yourself in every area of life. It means taking action on the action items in your business instead of procrastinating. It means taking action on your prayers and other Islamic commandments and lowering your gaze and not following inappropriate pages on Instagram, all things that I have to audit within myself and then fix inside of my own life that result in me being happier, healthier, more present, and more productive across all walks of life. And it's amazing because, so many of us, including myself, and I only speak from my own experience and the experience of Muslim men that I've seen, tell ourselves this lie that, it's the modern era, Islam was back in the day, but it doesn't apply today. But that's what being a modern Muslim is about, is it's taking Islam and how it applies today and seeing the barakah and the blessing that you have inside your life by following the Islamic principles and realizing it actually makes you happier, even if society thinks it makes you less happy. People have asked me for years, they've said, how do you have fun and be social without alcohol? How do you, you've never tried bacon before? Wow, you're really missing out. And to them, what I have to say is, man, you're really missing out on what it feels like to live clean and have a connection with God. And not all these people lack a connection with God. I really honor the Christians and the Jews and the Buddhists and even the spiritual people who have a strong connection with their higher power through other religious mediums. But obviously, as Muslims, our connection with God is through Islam. And, it's my personal belief, and obviously, only Allah can judge people, that, Christians and any virtuous Jewish person, spiritual person, anybody who honors God and everything they do and treats others well and lives a life of virtue is going to go to heaven. Only Allah knows, but that's kind of what I feel is the case. And so I really respect these people a lot, and alhamdulillah, they respect us too. Ever since I've told everybody that there's certain things I'm not going to engage in anymore because I'm choosing to be committed fully to Islam again, I'm surprised that many of my American and non-Muslim friends have a great degree of respect for that, and my entire perspective has changed. So alhamdulillah, it's funny because I created the Modern Muslim Man for you, my viewer, my audience, those who I wanted to help get in shape with what I know about fitness and mindset and success and business and want to see those results for you. Yet the first person whose life is changing is mine. And alhamdulillah, that comes through the power of prayer and actually having integrity with yourself to pray 5 times a day. Likewise, you hit that mid-evening slump. Well, guess what? You got Asr to get you back on track. When the sun sets, you have Maghrib to keep your morals back on point and make sure that you treat your family right when you come home to your family, or you interact with your wife, or you interact with your kids, or you interact with your parents, or you interact with whoever else you may be interacting with, your friends, and that you keep things halal. Same thing with Ishaa. It keeps you out of trouble late at night when a lot of bad things happen, when a lot of temptations draw you in to go engage in things that you shouldn't be engaging in because they take away from your happiness. And I did have a slip up the other day where I stayed up a little bit late, hopped on a FaceTime call with a friend of mine who doesn't, I'm not going to say anything bad about him, but, who kind of pulled me off the sort of energy wavelength of being really high integrity with Islam. And I had a FaceTime conversation with this individual, and afterwards I couldn't sleep. And I realized that I should have just gone to bed and been in integrity with my Islam. As soon as, I prayed Isha, I should have just, wrapped up, gone to bed. But instead, I felt the need to call this friend of mine and had a conversation with him where he was telling me about certain things he was engaging in that were haram. And I was kind of just nodding my head and whatever, but then I realized a certain individual has to feel out of alignment with these people, and so I decided that I'm going to stop spending time with these people. And even if I love them and they're still good people and good friends of mine on like a friendship level, one has to limit exposure. Same thing, if a Muslim person was behaving in a toxic way to me or in a way that wasn't serving me, I would address that with that person and be direct if it was something that I felt that they would be receptive to hearing that feedback. But sometimes you need to limit exposure with certain individuals if their energy is not serving you inside of your life. So likewise, there are certain habits I had to limit exposure to, and there were certain habits that I had to re-expose myself to and recommit to and go all in with. Just like how I want you to go all in with your fitness, your health, your commitment to your family, your commitment to your business, your commitment to your career, you got to be all in with your commitment to Islam. You got to be all in with your commitment to your mental health, to your spiritual health, to the health of your soul. And so many Muslims are splintering their soul in a million pieces, lying to themselves that certain things are okay because the Western world tells you that it makes you feel good. And sure, it feels good in the moment. You get the instant gratification. But what do we know about instant gratification? Even in the secular self-improvement community, we know that instant gratification does not produce good results, does not produce happiness. It produces a fleeting sense of pleasure that is then replaced by a sense of shame and guilt and pain and loss and regret and emptiness. That's the feeling that I felt when I was pursuing the Western ideals. And not to say anything bad about Western culture, because there are very virtuous people inside of Western culture, some of whom are my best friends who I've learned an immense amount about business, about many things from. But as I realign myself with my Islam and seek to become the best Muslim I can be and be the best Muslim I can be is really the only way I can put it, I realize there are certain things that are no longer serving me. And so there's some big changes I'm making in my life and some big commitments I'm making inside of my own life. And so likewise, when you commit to praying 5 times a day, it really does change your life, and it helps you to be more proactive about your nutrition, more proactive about your fitness, more proactive about taking action in your business, your career, more proactive about treating people right inside of your relationships, and therefore you're going to get better results across all those other quadrants of life in addition to your faith. And that's a powerful thing. And that's the message I wanted to share with you guys today. So you're here for fitness, but guess what? Getting in line with your prayers is going to help you with your fitness. And I know that can be hard to hear because I've been that Muslim guy who was totally out of alignment. And whenever I'd hear people praying, I'd feel the sense of guilt and I would hide away. And astaghfirullah, that was the zone I was in for a long time. But alhamdulillah, now that I've opened my heart back up to Islam, I feel so much happier and healthier. And alhamdulillah, I know the same thing is going to happen for you too. I know it's hard to believe right now because it's felt like a restriction for your whole life, but Islam actually is freedom. It frees you from the emptiness and the chasing of endless pleasure that never ends and only leaves you feeling empty inside, that we often get sold on and sell ourselves on inside of Western society and pathologically lie to ourselves about. So it's time to be real, raw, and honest with yourself. And this applies to you too. Even if you're religious and you're lying to yourself about your fitness, you got to have integrity with yourself. Even if you're religious and on paper you're a good Muslim and you're praying 5 times a day, but you're not treating your wife right, and you're not being present with your kids, and you're not being a good, healthy, happy role model for your kids, and you're just being this grumpy, overweight, tired, triggered dude, even if you're praying 5 times a day and fasting during Ramadan, not eating pork and not drinking and lowering your gaze, but you're still having low character in other areas of life, it's time to level it up. Just like how you would see somebody who isn't religious and say they need to level up their character inside their religion. Likewise, we got to be able to level our character across all walks of life. And that's what the modern Muslim man's movement is all about. It's hard. It goes against the instant gratification narrative of the modern day era of Tinder and TikTok and all these other things that we're exposed to, whether single or in a relationship, aka married. So again, I just implore you, just try it. Try it for a week. Just like how I tell you with organic food, try it for a week. If you sincerely make wudu and pray 5 times a day on time for a whole week, and avoid temptation and negative things and lower your gaze and stuff like that, and you don't feel happier, well, at least you tried it and at least you know for sure. But think about Ramadan. In Ramadan, we go through the most painful challenges of hunger and not eating and not drinking water and all that stuff, and a little bit of sleep deprivation sometimes, yet we feel happier and more proactive. Than when Ramadan ends and some of us go back to our old ways of engaging in certain vices, we feel that temporary pleasure for a moment, it feels really good, but then that feeling is replaced with this emptiness and this sadness and this longing for Ramadan, even though we're able to eat again. It's so interesting how that works. There's such a paradox of life that the things that are the most difficult on the front end give us the greatest rewards on the back end, and the things that seem the most appealing on the front end, not always, but in many cases, especially when it comes to haram things, seem pleasuresome on the front end, and they are pleasuresome, but that pleasure is then replaced with a very negative feeling. It's a masturbation of the pleasure muscle, if that makes any sense, where it feels good in the moment and we're tempted to it, and the more we give into the temptation and the more we get, but then there's this low afterwards and this craving for more and this insatiable craving for more. And that's the thing I realized, and so I short-circuited that and became back integrated with myself. The same applies with food addiction. If you're being a glutton and eating negative foods, unhealthy foods, all this stuff is so important to account for. So anyways, I hope this video served you well and was helpful and relevant and valuable for you and helps you improve your life, both in this life and the hereafter. If there's anything that you disagree with that I said, please comment and let's spark some debate, because I am always seeking the truth. And one of the most central pillars of Islam is to not contort the truth to serve your selfish needs, but to stand for the truth for the sake of Allah and its full truth, and to have that integrity. And that's something I seek to do every day. So if you see an opportunity for me to do that and to be a better Muslim, to be in better integrity with Islam, if something I said was inaccurate on any level or you disagree, please let me know, because I'm open to that feedback for the sake of bettering myself. Obviously, I'm going to be discerning, and if you come at me with something that is obviously false, I'm going to argue with you. Debate respectfully, actually, not argue, because obviously I got to stand for my truth, just like how I encourage you to stand for yours. So if there's something you disagree with, please let me know. Let's do it in a civil fashion, and let's all seek the truth as Muslim men and seek the best versions of ourselves. My brothers, I'll see you in the next video. And remember, pray 5 times a day. Do it for the pleasure of Allah, but do it for yourself too, man. Like, I'll be honest, man. Like, when I pray, it's obviously the overarching theme is for the pleasure of Allah, but the entry point that got me to start praying again was realizing how it was going to benefit me and fix all my problems in every other area of my life. And so far it has, and alhamdulillah, I'm blessed to be able to share that message with you. So brothers, let me know how it goes. Pray 5 times a day. Do it for yourself. Do it for Allah. And inshallah, I look forward to hearing about the positive impact it has on every area of your life and every person in your life as well. All right, brothers. Assalamu alaikum, and I'll see you in the next video.